Historical sources of information on East African coast. Some of the sources of information about contacts between the East African coast and the outside world. So when we talk about these historical sources, like for example, you have the Greek-Roman documentary records, which make only indirect references to the east coast of Africa. This is a very important source of information. Remember, I said that both documentary and archaeological, which confirm that the people from other continents had contact with the East African, are product of international trade. Take for example the Semites. Main factor that influenced their movement, yes, was trade. They were traders. So there is therefore very little information on the history of the coast before the establishment of international contact with the outside world. And that is why we are now having historical sources of information on East African coast. How did this thing commence? Ilifika wapi? So we have sources of information. We are told to state historical sources of information on East African coast. We have the Greek-Roman documentary records, which make only indirect references to East coast of Africa. Another source of information which was very important, and still important, you have the Periplas of Eritrean Sea. The Periplas of Eritrean Sea, which means sailing around the ocean. Take for example the Portuguese, the Vasco da Gama, who came in 1497, sailed the Indian Ocean. What was the nitty-gritty behind Vasco da Gama sailing around the Indian Ocean? He wanted to find the sea route to India, and as he was doing this, there was another person also in the Atlantic Ocean, sailing around the Atlantic Ocean, and that one was Bartolomeu Diaz. So the Periplas or the Periplas of Eritrean Sea, which means sailing around the Indian Ocean. This one was written in the 1st century by a known Greek commercial agent, and this unknown Greek commercial agent was basically in Egypt. Then you have Ptolemaic geography. Ptolemaic geography is written during the first half of the 5th century. The work of Arab merchants such as Ibn Battuta and Al-Masud. That's also another important source of information on East African coast. The works Arab merchants such as of Ibn Battuta and Malsud. A publication, Christian topography of Cosmos Indico plus Tustes. Talking about a publication, Christian topography of Cosmos Indico plus Tustes, which point to the Persian domination of the Indian Ocean trade. The Persian, they wanted to dominate the Indian Ocean trade. So if you look at the source, it will basically explain to you why the Persians dominated the Indian Ocean trade. We have archaeological evidences. In topic 1, we discussed about archaeology as the study of plant and animal remains, and a person who study fossils is known as archaeologists. So archaeology is the study of fossils, and he who does this is said to be archaeologist. So archaeological evidences, take for example coins, which suggest that people from other parts of the world had already sailed to East African coast, and this happened by 200 BC. So we have discussed about historical sources of information on East African coast. We can still mention them: the Greek-Roman documentary, the Periplas of Eritrean Sea, Ptolemaic geography, the works Arab merchants such as Ibn Battuta and Al-Masud. A publication, Christian topography of Cosmos Indico, the Plastus, archaeological evidences. Then from there you now have to look at early visitors to the coast up to 1500. So we have to know, why did early visitors came to East African coast? What was the reason behind their coming? Why were they coming, or why did they come? What was the nitty-gritty? We have talked about contact with the outside world. And this one, contact with the outside world, was possible. Why? Because of the accessibility of the East African coast from the sea. And I said, these people were really sailing around the sea and around the oceans just in order to find the sea route. And this was to improve trade relations. So contact with the outside world was possible, as I said. Why? Because of accessibility of what? Of the East African coast from the sea, which has subjected it to a long history of commercial contact. Talk about cultural influence, population movements from the lands across the Indian Ocean. And still I will repeat and I will comment on Vasco da Gama, who sailed in 1497, after which he erected a monument at Malindi, Vasco da Gama Pillar. As I'm talking, it's a national tourist center. It attracts foreign visitors, and when they come, the country earns what we call foreign exchange. So why, or what was the reasons why the early visitors came to East African coast? One, religious persecutions at home like Persia and Arabia made them flee in search for new settlement. Religious persecution at home like Persia and Arabia made them flee in search for new settlement. Political upheaval, or if you like, you can say political instability or political interference and civil wars. This one made some flees their homelands, e.g. in Arabia. Desire to trade. The coast provided a conducive climate and good for trade. And that is why if you look at Said the Omani ruler, who transferred his capital from Oman to Zanzibar. Why did he do that? Said transferred his capital from Oman to Zanzibar majorly because he wanted to take control of trade along the coast. For effective control of trade along the coast, Said transferred his capital, Muscat in Zanzibar. So these newcomers also wanted to spread their religion. Like for example, the Islam. Others wanted to explore the East Coast. And to explore means to know more about a certain geographical region. Others wanted to explore. Take for example, the first European to travel into the interior of Eastern Africa was John Speke. John Speke was the first European travel into the interior of Eastern Africa. What was he doing? The guy was exploring. He wanted to know more about, and that is why he discovered the source of River Nile to be Lake Victoria and named it Ripon Falls. Accessibility of the coast by the sea. These enhanced movements by use of dhows. Use of dhows and desire to establish settlement at the coast, which are the adequate supplies of fresh water and food. Hello? Uko wapi? Mimi niko hapa kwa kina Menye. Kwa kina Omari. Uswali alafu uje. Wewe njoo. So that is what I can tell you, Menye. Before we look at even these early visitors to the coast, you also have, after talking about reasons why they came, you have to know them. Who are they? Greeks, Romans, Persians, the Phoenicians, the Chinese, and Arabs. And Chinese are still existing in Kenya. In fact, Kenya is facing second colonization. So next time we shall look at these people one by one. Yeah, the Ptolemies in Egypt, the Antigonas, sawa, and many other things.